So get this. What do you think of when I say Russian voice acting, FPS gaming, and going to a nuclear wasteland, right? You're thinking Metro, you're thinking S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and we've got another S.T.A.L.K.E.R game coming next year, but that ain't this. I saw Chernobylite at the E3 conference, so I was like, all right, this looks pretty good. It looks like something to fill the time between those games, but no. We got something special, and that means we need to go on a side quest. Let's rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pripyat. We are at Chernobyl. Yes, we are. We are literally at Chernobyl. There it is. There is Chernobyl, and it is looking rather grim, isn't it? It is not looking good. This is Chernobylite, where we are not only going to be venturing into the disaster area that occurred in the Ukraine and Chernobyl, 30 years on from the incident, but we're also going to be playing with timey-wimey stuff. We're going to be doing some first-person shooting. We're going to be doing all those kinds of things, as well as a number of elements you probably don't expect. If you're anything like me, when someone presents to you a first-person shooter that is based around Chernobyl or based around the Russians in some way and Ukrainians in some way, you're likely going to be thinking of Metro's franchise, or you're going to be thinking of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R franchise, of which a new S.T.A.L.K.E.R game is due out early next year, I believe, and very much looking forward to that. And you're probably expecting that sort of thing, a linear, story-driven FPS game that is going to take you on an adventure through the underground and the seedy underbelly of all a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland, right? That's the kind of thing you're expecting, and that is exactly what I was expecting when I came into this game. It is developed by a Polish developer, which is the Farm 51. I have actually played one of their games before. I didn't realize it. About 3 years ago, and you might have seen that on our previous highlights channel, we played a game called Get Even, which was about 4 hours long and was similar to this, an FPS shooter game that started getting a little bit fidgety with the supernatural. Obviously, the stepping stone into this. Was very impressed by that game for a small game, like a first run at this kind of thing. And Chernobylite is their next big venture into this kind of genre, and it's surprisingly good. So, as I said, you're probably expecting some sort of narrative-driven FPS shooter game involving a lot of big Russian dialogue, of which there is a lot of Russian dialogue. It's not Ukrainian. We've had that clarified many, many times. But what we've actually got is a management building FPS hybrid that goes on here. So this is our base. Let me introduce you to our base, and I think things will start making a lot more sense as to what I'm talking about. As you can see, we have a board over here. Now, the whole game, I'm not going to do any spoilers. We are currently about 16 hours into the game, so we've got a firm grasp of what's going on. As always, this is a first impressions. I haven't seen the end of the game yet, but we have a pretty solid grasp of what is going on. And as always, I'm really going to be covering games that I recommend, unless something's terrible, in which case I'll probably cover it just to say, don't buy this. But I wanted to bring your attention to this one because it is fantastic. It is extremely good. So, the premise of the game is actually two interwoven storylines that are going on. We are playing a professor who was at Chernobyl when the disaster took place. Now, when that's all going down, and we do get to kind of be involved in the moment that it went down at Chernobyl, we lost our fiancée through a number of interesting moments. Our fiancée, Tanya, she's named as Tatiana and referred to as Tanya in the short term in the game, was taken from us, and we keep having these visions, these sort of strange things that are indicating that maybe she's still alive. So we have returned to Chernobyl 30 years later in order to try and find her, find out anything anybody knows. Now, you'll notice if you look out over here, there are a number of helicopters, and also a building over there appears to be covered, and this is for my CNC fans out there, Tiberium. The twist on this is that the event at Chernobyl has actually led to the creation of a new energy source, new power source called Chernobylite. That is the app name of the game. And Chernobylite is extremely powerful. In fact, it's one of the only things that can power the project that we were working on at the time, which is the Ariadne project. So if I go into my bedroom here, we'll actually see Ariadne on this table. There's Ariadne now, a VR headset. But the purpose of this VR headset is it can actually see the past. It can see the particles of the past. So you can scroll through and see events that happened in that particular place wherever you're wearing the headset as they actually happened. So it's not the same as... I initially thought this was like a headset to see your own memories. That's not what it is. It actually looks at the history that happened in certain places. However, at the time, the project required so much power that it was just impossible. So they shut the project down. There's no way we can get the power needed to make this project work. And so we were kind of shunned and told to go to bed and do things like that. So now we're back. However, I said there are two interwoven storylines, and there absolutely are. On top of the fact that we are here to hunt down our fiancé, the military is here. That is the helicopters and the search towers that you're seeing, because the military has obviously discovered this extra power source, haven't they? And they would like to use it for probably nefarious means. Yes, they would. They would like to be nasty with it. Therefore, there are two events occurring simultaneously, and the issue is actually the companion system, which I was fully not expecting, but you can see we actually have some companions. We have Mikhail over here, and we're going to have some others kind of floating around our base here. They're over there working. Now let's go into the menu here. At the moment, we have 3 of potentially 5 companions. We have Olivier, Mikhail, and Olga. All of these have a pretty decent and interesting character story arc of themselves. They have very distinct personalities, and more importantly, they have their own goals. They're not particularly interested in your fiancé, like, at all, in any way, shape, or form. Olga, for example, is trying to look after the people who still live in the area, running a village, but they're under constant threat from the military. Would kind of like that to stop. Olivier is a mercenary, so he doesn't really have a trust for anybody. Now, you can see there is a relationship system in the game. You can see some of the negatively assessed events and positively assessed events that have gone on with these characters. And you kind of have to make some serious decisions sometimes that will either positively or negatively affect your companions, or, more importantly, make it so a companion doesn't join you at all. And that can happen very easily, especially when they want something. So before you get them to join you, because they'll be out and about in the Chernobyl zone, or the zone as it's referred to, what you'll find is they'll be like, hey, we have an opportunity to really disrupt the military here. Do that. Or, let's say it's a database of some kind that you found access to. You can use that database to maybe find out some more information about your wife, and that means they won't get shut down. And more importantly, you doing that will actually increase the amount of military patrolling the area, making life uncomfortable for people like Olga and her village, things like that. And they will become mad at you. And they may actually say, when you ask them to join them, absolutely not. In fact, my initial playthrough, I got none of the followers to follow me besides Olivier, who is the one who starts with you from the very beginning of the game. Nobody wants to join me. So what do? Did I screw up? How do I deal with this? The quest line to acquire these companions is now over. What can we do? Well, they thought of that too. So if you die in the game, a couple of things can happen. From a gameplay point of view, you'll lose some of your resources, which we'll get into in a second. But more importantly, you will get the opportunity to change the timeline. And this is involving Chernobylite and the supernatural elements of the game. And you're able to reset the day and, more importantly, reset the timeline. So you could go back into decisions you've made in the past and change your mind. Now, you might be thinking, is that just gaming the system? So it's like, oh, I screwed up. I could either save scum it, or I could just change the timeline and change it back. No. The reason is, we kind of want to play out both interweaving storylines at the same time. So what we could do is, let's say I was more interested in finding out about my wife. I could actually progress with that story and play it out to its conclusion, but I'm going to lose companions along the way. They're not going to be happy with me, or they just straight up won't join me anyway. Towards the end of the game, though, you can see we're putting together a heist, similar to what you've seen in GTA 5. And we need people like a sniper, ? We need a spy. We need a good hacker. And our companions are going to start to fill these roles. So later on in the game, after we've played out parts of the fiancé storyline, we might want to go back and change the past, so our companions will actually follow us. And that's exactly what I did, is I changed the past, so I got Mikhail and I got Olga to join us. And in order to make that work. So I got to play out both sides of the story instead of being hamstrung into one of them, which I thought was very cool. If I open my inventory here, you'll see quite the number of resources. I have a lot of bullets. I have several guns, which are all fully modifiable. So you can see I have a pistol with several mods here. We'll look at that a little bit shortly. I have armor equipped. I have a number of quick slots. I also have things like anti-Chernobylite burners. I have lockpicks. I have alcohol. And what you'll notice down here is actually 3 different, and there's actually a 4th one that affects your character. One of them is psyche. We're a professor. Killing people is not particularly good for our mental health. It's not particularly good for our mental health. So going around and just blitzing everybody is going to negatively affect your psyche. And you can recover that with either alcohol, of course, or you can actually create some calming salts, like a broth to calm you down and lower your stress levels, that kind of thing. We're also going to deal with radiation. Now, you can see I actually have radiation poisoning right now. That's red. If you get irradiated out in the zone, it's going to lower your maximum potential HP. And the more radiation you run through or walk through is going to lower that even further. Of course, we have anti-rad medicine, like you would expect from something like a Fallout game or any game with basically radiation. So we have anti-radiation medicine and we have anti-rad soup, all of different effects. And of course, we've got health associated with that. We also got armor. Tied to the type of armor we're using. We can have quite the array of armor, from camouflage armor to heavier armor, depending on what we want to carry around. That kind of thing. But we're also collecting a number of other resources because this base is entirely customizable and it's so much fun. It is so much fun. We have a Fallout 4 style crafting system. So if I press B, I have a number of buildables, so I can build things like base upgrades, which will open up a hierarchical tier of construction. So we'll need stronger base upgrades like sleeping stuff. So we need beds for everybody. We go into here, we need work tables, laser cutting machines, and eventually Chernobylite powered tools. This will unlock us to be able to build more powerful things like better generators. So we can now build Chernobylite powered generators, and you obviously have to work up to this. You can't just build these straight away. We also need to keep the air clean because we're in Chernobyl, and of course radiation down. So a little tour of the kind of things. I have a nice vegetable patch going, so we're growing food and supplies for the party, so we can actually feed them. At the end of each day, the game is broken up into daytime, a full day. You set your missions for the day, go and do your mission and come back. That's the end of day. You'll need to distribute food amongst your companions, so you need to keep on top of that, otherwise they'll be starting to get hungry, and you can give them double food if they're feeling particularly angry. We can also provide things like radiation showers. That's what these are. So anti-radiation showers when they come back. I've also prepared a sleeping quarters. And obviously, don't judge mine. Judge your own. That's what I would say. Judge your own. I actually quite like mine. I've prepared for all 5 of my guests to be staying. I give them a radio. I've given them a lamp. I'm quite the generous god, honestly. And privacy, which was a big concern while we did stream, obviously, the first few hours of this game. And happy to say, the devs, the Farm 51, were actually with us for the entire playthrough, providing us with backstory, and I'm going to talk a bit more of that later, but huge thanks to those guys. We had the lead designer and, of course, the game developers themselves watching along with us while we played through it, so a huge shout-out to those. It's so nice when a dev cares about their game to that point. I built a little comforting area where the big TV and the comfy chair is here. It needs some more lights. So let's build a light for these guys so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I come over to comfortable stuff. This is what we're in now. I could build a light. I could build them a lamp. I'm out of mushrooms, which is unfortunate. I can actually put RGB lighting in the floor if I want to. If I come around here, I can't slide it under the desk. But I can put some RGB lights on the floor. Everybody loves RGB. Beautiful. Yeah, so we've got a nice lighting system going on here. But we can build floodlights, desk lamps, normal lamps. It's limited, but there's good choices here. Televisions, gramophones, all that kind of stuff. And, of course, a memory chair. Looks like a gaming chair, doesn't it? But we can build this so they can relive their memories. Probably the next upgrade I'm going to put into here. Of course, there are drawbacks depending on what you build. If we build... we've got some storage over here, like a Subnautica style, where we can store a lot of stuff. You can see all the resources here, from flammables to mechanical parts, all this kind of stuff that we've been farming. Weapon storage cabinet, where we've got railguns, things like that. Spare AK-47s. Which I'll explain in a minute when we get into the zone. I'm going to show you that. But this base building aspect and the companion aspect is so fun. I think it might be the bigger draw for everybody who's not looking for just an FPS narrative experience. So upgrade stations for our weapons. So if we want to modify our assault rifle, we can build the upgrade station. Armor crafting stations. Building advanced technology. Laboratories to build other things like that. We can build... I need to build some lockpicks. So this is my lockpick crafting station. So I'm going to build some of these. I do like to roll with about 5 lockpicks because they will help us when we're out in the zone, etc. We can see Olga's working away on here, and there's all kinds of stuff like this. And a little stove so we can make our soup and things like that. But this is all customizable. This base is entirely bare when you first get here. There's nothing in it whatsoever. They gave you nice big empty spaces. I've put my power sources down here. I've got some killer Chernobylite power generators here. Chernobylite powered generators. They give huge amounts of power. They also emit radiation, which is why we have 3 radiation showers to kind of counter that. So the base building, you can see these statistics on the side here. So we have comfort of life. You can see I actually have a ridiculous overkill of this, 1640. My guys are extremely comfortable, but I had fun with it, so it didn't matter. Power, air quality, radiation, and sleeping places. So we currently have 2 spare beds. going on in our base right now. So that's the building. We're going to go out and go into the zone now. So how does the gameplay work? Well, it is an FPS shooter. There are stealth elements. Our companions are actually our talent trees, which is interesting enough. If we go to skills over here, you can see quite a number of available skills. And they're taught to you by your companions. So not getting a companion to join you actually completely kills the whole talent row. So you're kind of like, oh my god. So I haven't found these two companions there. I do know who they are. I will sort that out after I've done this recording. But they will teach me things like patience, where shotgun deals more damage. I can learn parkour, so I can run and drop from higher heights. We could do everything built and crafted is 10% cheaper, 20% cheaper. I have learned things like stealth and imperfect stealth, so I can do... and I've learned stun, so I could do non-lethal takedowns, so my psyche isn't affected. So that freed me up with more resources. I didn't have to drink as much alcohol, for example. Mikhail over here has actually just taught me some strength training. And you will actually do, whenever you pick a new skill, you will do a mini training session with that companion. So you get that relationship bonus of actually doing something with them. While you actually learn some stuff. So, this is a fresh day that we're in right now. That's why our guys are kind of hanging around. Oh, it's not yet. We actually have to sleep. So, this is the end of a day. So, at the end of the day, you'll come back, you'll distribute your food, you'll do any base building you want to do, you'll collect anything that your little vegetation patch has grown, and then it's time to go to bed and move it on to the next day. So, that's what we're going to do right now, is we're going to sleep in our bed and say, yes, I am fine with ending that day. Okay, so welcome to our fresh day. We had a little cut out on the recording there as it loaded the game. That's fine. What's going on? Well, we have a number of storylines intersecting as well, such as conspiracies, webs of lies, and the Black Stalker, which we don't have much information on yet. The Black Stalker is an interesting, if not fully developed, there are definitely some criticisms I have of the game, the Black Stalker being one of them. It's supposed to be kind of a scary moment. It's foreshadowed by this oncoming Chernobylite storm that the Black Stalker is coming. It's a very powerful soldier who is using the Chernobylite technology in order to traverse the zone. Unfortunately... Oh, let's have some dialogue. I'm going to skip through this purely because it might contain spoilers as to what's going on. I will agree to whatever Olga asked me to do there. Okay. I don't know what she asked me, but I'll agree to do it. So we have all our guys ready to go here. But yeah, the Black Stalker is somebody who will invade us in the zone periodically. If we spend too long in a zone, eventually he'll find us. He's a little... the gameplay of him is a little rough. He always teleports behind you and tries to shoot you. But if you line of sight him, he can't shoot you. And he's on a timer, so he might last for 3 minutes. So you can either choose to kill him, which you can do, but he doesn't drop anything. So you kind of feel like you've wasted bullets. I think he's one of the worst elements of the game, unfortunately. Or you could just choose to hide behind something for minutes at a time. Anyway, we go to our binoculars. We're going to assign missions. Now, as I was talking about, the progression of the days really matters. As the days go on, more and more events are going to start getting a little spookier. We're going to have more and more soldiers patrolling the area. You can see there's several helicopters now. There's going to be more of the supernatural monsters that are part of the game. They're going to start invading more. And more importantly, the radiation in the zone is going to start increasing. Because you can kind of see over here, this Chernobylite spread is growing as the game goes on. Now, we can counter that. So let's have a look. We can assign our followers to do missions for us. They will get some basic stuff. So we can see here, there's an ammo stash there. Okay, and over here you can see I have a percentage chance of success. Now, you can kit out your followers with weapons and armor. So we can see Olivier has a 99% chance of success. We're going to send him to get the ammo. Now... You might think this is just bare bones stuff. You can choose not to send them to do anything. You can tell them to stay at your base. But they will only bring back the minimum reward. That's what I found. They'll only bring back, like, the ammo stash. Whereas if you're playing the mission, you will be able to loot the whole zone. And because that ties directly into building up your base and allowing you to access better equipment and things like that, you'll get a lot more. But it does add up over time. It's just sending these guys out. Now, the missions are obviously dictated by these exclamation marks. The red exclamation marks means they're story-based missions. So going there will be something to do with the main campaign, getting followers, things like that. So what we'll do is we'll go to Pripyat Central, which is just a medicine drop. So this will be no story spoilers at all here. This is just something you can do if you want to get more resources. You do not have to play all the story quests. You can decide to go on these missions where you just end up chilling here. So we'll have Mikhail And Olga, stay at the base, and we'll go. Yep, let's go on our mission. Now, a portal opened. We do have a portal gun. Once your mission, if you're not into scavenging and things like that, once your mission is complete, we have a portal gun that will take us directly back to our base. We can just leave. If we die while we're out on the mission, though, the day is forfeit, and we have to reset that day. So it might be a case that you died. Okay, there's a lot of radiation in the zone. This game is absolutely gorgeous and terrifying. I cannot tell you how good the atmosphere is in this game, with the sound effects, the eeriness, the spookiness. The developers were telling us they visited Pripyat. This is about as close as you're going to get to the actual place. In fact, there was a fire in Pripyat last year which demolished a building that is still in the game and accurately portrayed. Even some of the spookier elements here are 3D model scans of what was actually there after the disaster. So it is, obviously there is modifications made to make it into an actual level. There are some modifications, but it's very, very close to the real thing. Obviously there's no monsters flying around. So, we're here in the zone. This doesn't look good. This is toxic waste, for which we'll need a gas mask. And now we can open the map and we can see the size of the maps. So the way the game works, it's divided into about 7 or 8 different maps. And you will revisit those maps. However, in a roguelike style, they are constantly changing. They have some question marks where it's like there's something important over there. It might be a little clue to something. It might be a vendor, one of the other people who's scurrying around Chernobyl trying to make ends meet. They might offer to trade bullets or some food for some other resources. They all have, they're a little bit underdeveloped, I would say. They often just have the same dialogue. They don't seem to remember you, which would have been nice. But they are out there to help you. Obviously, when you're building stuff, your supplies, sometimes you're swimming in a supply. And then 2 hours later, you're desperate for that supply. So sometimes you'll visit the vendors like, there's nothing I want, but then sometimes there is. So we have a number of things we can do here. So let's head ourselves over here. So this is the main objective. So if you don't like scrounging and foraging and you're not really bothered about the base building, you can go straight to the main mission here. Excuse me. And then use your portal gun and leave. Because your quest is complete. Your mission in this zone is complete. Obviously, scurrying around and foraging and checking places is going to provide you the fuller game experience that's intended. I can tell you I seem to do it much more. The devs were actually a little suspicious. We have our little Geiger meter here, which also contains the scan functionality. It's on a cooldown, but we can press this. And it will highlight, as you can see over here, it will highlight anything that's like a pick-upable. Because the game is extremely dense environmentally. Extremely dense. That's that sort of more realism factor they were going for. It's extremely dense. That means that sometimes the gunplay is not as good as I would like it to be. Honestly, the soldiers, and they're aware of it as well, the soldiers can shoot you very accurately. If they lock onto you, we do play on hard mode here, and they do a lot of damage, and often they're shooting you and you can't see them because the foliage and stuff is so dense, which can be problematic. The way they counter that is the soldiers tend to have laser sights, and the monsters in the game, they tend to be quite bright and clear, so you can see those. So the laser sights help, but it's also got the central aim-down sights, which is okay. I'm not a big fan of it. I do tend to like it if it comes from the side, and you can't hip fire. Yeah, it's a melee. Your left trigger is just a melee. Right, so that's telling me there's a soldier nearby. So we're actually at the soldiers' base camp here, and you can see the soldiers walking around there. I'm going to do my attempt at stealth here, guys, which is going to be bad. So let's do a scan to see. There's some resources in there we would like to get. So we're going to sneak in here and do our best. Now, I will say the soldiers are not positioned in a way like a Metal Gear Solid game or a Tom Clancy game where there's a seemingly convenient pathway they're taking where the other person can't see them. They'll actually sometimes just be talking to each other, and that's their patrol route. So you will be getting into combat no matter how stealthy you would like to be. Let's try and sneak around here. Bring him down. So, I am using the Russian voice acting. Okay, I got seen. Okay. Here we go. And now that has obviously attracted More friends, which is fine. It happens. It happens. I could run away, like leave the base and try and get a stealth reset, but I think it's important to show you the gunplay if you like it or not. Fortunately, you don't have to even engage in it at all. You can do it entirely stealth if you want to. This is a upgraded assault rifle. You can see that laser sight. That's what I was talking about. So, somebody behind me? Yes. Oh, he stuck up to the side. Cheeky. And the music indicates that combat is over, which is always nice. I truly appreciate that. Doesn't mean that the base is empty, but the people who I'm in combat with are dealt with. I do appreciate that. So we're going to grab as much of these resources as we can. And you can see our scan there is showing it off. Get this. Grab some bullets, because bullets are of vital importance. And now we can kind of loot up the base and have a mooch around and see what's going on. Which I really appreciate. So the combat is... it's fine. It's workable. It's not the best I've ever seen by any means, but it's more than workable. This is actually a nice area to show it off because there's not huge amounts of dense foliage. We might run into some... denser foliage later where you'll kind of see that it's extraordinarily difficult to see the enemy, if not impossible, because they're hiding in a bush. Which you could do as well. You could hide in bushes and you can take your time. I am notoriously impatient. Absolutely notoriously impatient when it comes to stealth games. I know I have been set a challenge by many members of the community to complete, say, a Tom Clancy game. I did do Hitman. I was a silent assassin, so I take great pride in that, but...
Hey, what's wrong?
Okay. Hold it together. Hold it together. It's not my finest work, if I'm being honest. Generally speaking, I am rather impatient and I do want to get going. But you can see, like here, there are lots of nooks and crannies and sneakies. We do have a flashlight to go along with it. I would actually like to get us out of this army base, though, and go to more of Pripyat proper. So let's head... In fact, we haven't discovered whatever the mystery item is here. So let's do that. We're very close to it. And see what awaits us here. It could be something supernatural. Considering this is the army base, I would expect us to find either a vendor who's been captured. They're often capturing the vendors and wanderers of Chernobyl to interrogate them and things like that, and we might be able to help them out. Unlikely. Sometimes it's a very weird and trippy, like I say, supernatural experience. Was it because I didn't loot all these things? No, it's something over here. So it's 27 meters. It might be inside this tent, actually. See what's going on. Here's somebody who's been captured. Oh. So now we can see they're doing experiments on people who've been encased in the Chernobylite. This is what happens when you kill one of the monsters, or at least for the NPCs. You kill one of the monsters and they get their gunk on you. It often ends in them being encased in here. Now, a very cool element. Going back to the death scenario, I told you about the one thing that happens. Can I loot some? Oh, a clue. Okay, I'm not going to read that. So we'll go back. So I told you when you die, you lose resources. A monster. Okay. I personally prefer the shotgun for dealing with the monsters. If I get a good headshot, it should be a one-hit kill. If I don't, they're going to move at me using phasing technology, basically. I'm going to let him see me so you can see it, actually. Oh, they're locked in. Oh, wow. This is cool. Ooh. They're studying them. Well, what a great way to show you the monsters. These are the shadows. Yeah, that's exactly what they're called. They're called shadows. Out in the open, though, these will teleport and open portals and gateways through worlds. Kind of got a Half-Life vibe to them, haven't they? For any fans of that? It should be everybody. Like, who's not a fan of Half-Life? That would be mental. I know there's always somebody. There's always somebody. I shouldn't have said it, but there it is. Okay, let's head into Pripyat proper. So, when you die, as I said, you lose resources and you have this supernatural experience where you can change the timeline, which is very nice. However, losing the devs have also realized that losing resources all the time ain't particularly fun. In fact, you can lose your guns. Which has happened to me on a number of occasions. So you might fully upgrade, say, an assault rifle, mod it out, which takes a lot of resources. Why can't I stealth take down this guy? Okay. He's too heavily armored. Okay, this guy is not going to care about the shotgun, like, at all. I am nearly... Oh, I got flashbanged. Oh, I'm slowed as well. Oh, I've got a new level. That's great, but they have taken out my legs. They have absolutely taken out my legs. Okay, so we might die here, which is actually fine. But we are playing on hard, because that's how I like it. I tried to do a little bandage repair there. But this kind of shows off I can't see where the soldier is. He's shooting at me, and he will hit me. There he is. These are very heavily armored. Holy crap. These are very heavily armored. We are going assault rifle and throwing down another heal right now. Let's have our healing salve. And the radiation is ticking. You hear the Geiger counter ticking? The radiation zone is actually kicking in. Oof. There he is. Okay, has combat ended? It has. Now you can see my psyche has dropped. You see this green aura around the side of the screen? My psyche has actually dropped because of that encounter. The stress of it and obviously killing people has caused me to begin to get unhappy. So let's loot it up. And we'll continue pushing on into here. That's where we kind of want to go. We're going to head into one of the buildings. But I'll leave the psyche like this because you're going to hear whispers and crazy things. And sometimes some very odd events can happen. Looks like yet another lab. Oh, this is the lab we were in before. Let's not go there then. Let's head to over here, actually. We'll pass by the main objective marker, which is marked by red smoke. So I'll come back to it then. We didn't die. But yeah, as you can imagine, losing resources and losing your fully upgraded gun is kind of a kick in the teeth. You are very heavily punished for dying. So you can do one of two things. You can save scum it, or you can turn the game difficulty down. That's entirely up to you as well. You can see the red smoke. And also the storm's coming. So we are going to see the Black Stalker shortly. He is going to appear. The storm is encroaching on our territory. I'd prefer not to fight him during the video, though, because he lasts... we can kill him, so maybe. We'll see if he turns up. I'm not going to force it. Let's put it that way. So they came up with a different system if you're dying repeatedly, which is that you will, in fact, be captured and taken to prison. And once you're... by the guards. And if you're captured and taken to prison... There's somebody around here. Oh, he's going to see me. Oh, no, he didn't. I got... Okay. All right. Well, this is... I mean, I like stealth, but... I do enjoy stealth, but not today. Well, is anyone else around? Just our... Oh, okay. They do whack a punch. They do pack a punch, these guys. They do absolutely pack a punch. You get imprisoned. Now, this is kind of cool, because a great deal of things can happen in prison. And that was our quest objective. That's why there was guards there. A great deal of things can happen in prison. Such as, let's suppose, we found a soldier that had been encased in Chernobylite. We have moral choices to make there. Do we kill that guy? Do we try and free him, even though he's the enemy? We can do whatever we want. And if we try and free him... Oh, we can lockpick this. This is why we hassle lockpicks. And we have gunsmiths here for an assault rifle. Now, I don't need to modify my assault rifle, but that's a great find, because if we come back to this map, there'll be a gunsmith there, which saves us building one in the base. So that guy would say, hey, you helped me out in the zone. I'm going to let you out of this prison cell. Just disappear, right? Okay? Don't cause a problem. Just get out. You can cause a problem if you want, obviously. But get out of here. Leave us alone. Or you can pick the locks and try and get out, in which case you'll have to fight your way out of prison. But the counter is, if you die normally, and you lose resources, you're kind of annoyed. If you go through the prison, you'll actually pick up resources on the way out. And therefore, your resource count will go up. Even though you lost your main mission, which would have been in the zone, you're actually kind of okay, because you got this other extra level to play that gave you most of your stuff back, or you actually came out higher up. And the game does have a machine that you can build in your base that enables you to commit suicide. So you can, let's say you wanted to intentionally change the timeline, or you finished with a certain story element and you wanted to go and get into the timeline changing scenario. I'm hiding from the Black.Stalker here. I should probably have stayed in that building because he is coming really soon. This is a really good place. I would like him to visit now, if possible. I do kind of want to show him you. We will kill him. Our guns are pretty powerful now, so he won't be too difficult. He's here. Okay. Now, he's actually behind that wall. Now, you can see in the top right, I have a counter that's now up to 4 minutes. This started at about 1 minute. And it's now at 4 minutes. So I have 4 minutes with this guy. And this seems to increase every time I kill him. But as you can see, you don't have to fight him. Because he spawns and he stands still. And he's looking to try and shoot you. So what you can do is what I'm doing right now, which is literally line of sight him. He'll always spawn behind me. So I could kind of force the spawn. Oh, I don't know where he is now. He's on that side. Okay. It's obviously tried to spawn behind me. I think I was stood near too close to a wall. I could do this for 3 minutes. Like I said, this is one of the more not very well thought out parts of the game, I don't think. I think it's the first time I dealt with this guy, it was very intimidating. I was like scared to death running through it because he shoots a very powerful laser cannon. Now, with these guns, he doesn't stand much of a chance anymore. Okay? Your initial guns... Oh, we attracted all the attention. Alright, so we've killed him, but I am... Okay. Mistakes were made. We are surrounded by the enemy. Holy cow. It's first aid kit, and we're dead. Unfortunate. Oh, no! I think we're okay. Okay, we had a save life, which is if we did die, we had an opportunity to come back and eject ourselves. Those are very expensive, but very useful, as you can see. Very useful. They are super expensive, but obviously they help. It automatically saves you should you die. That was a rough scenario to be in. Now, as you can see, the Black.Stalker is gone, but he's not dead. He will come back. It basically delays his spawn timer by a couple of missions. But he will be back. And he doesn't drop any loot or anything, so not the most ideal scenario. But we could say right now we've done our main quest. Once we didn't have to deal with him at all. Once we completed our main quest, we could have gone back to the town. Now, this is obviously not a story mission, so what we could do is head back. We open our portal gun. We're happy. You can either choose... Now we've killed the Black.Stalker, I would probably want to explore and forage the entire zone, collect all the resources I possibly could. We didn't do that particularly well. We used a lot of health packs and things like that, which are all resources. But for the sake of the video, let's head back. So we're going to open our portal gun, which will then take us back to the base. And it's the day ending. The day is over now. So now we get our stuff to do at the end of the day. Obviously, you kind of have to be a little careful with how you use your days, because the next time we go back to that zone, it might be twice as irradiated as it was. Now, what we could have done is we could actually build things in the zone while we're playing it that reduce the radiation levels, reduce the chance of monsters spawning, reduce the chance of the Black.Stalker appearing, but they all take resources. So you have that choice to make is, do I want to throw resources that may be decontaminating the zone a little bit? It's still going to build up over time, but I can invest those resources so that next time I come back, there's less radiation. Like, radiation pockets get so severe that you might be blocked off from some important resources at some point. As we sent Olivia out on a mission, he's come back. He's got some bullets for us and a ceramic plate. Again, nothing special, but it all adds up, especially when you've got multiple companions doing things for you. And now we have food distribution. Your companion is going to be angry for successfully finishing a mission and not receiving any food. Now, you'll notice that the people who didn't go for a mission, they'll be fine if we don't feed them, but we're going to feed them. So we could do double rations where they will get better psyche. We do need to take care of their psyche. Normal food, half rations if our food supplies are low. We currently have quite a lot of food. This is later in the game. But obviously, early days, if you get your companions, food is kind of scarce. And you might actually be using food to trade out in the zone with one of the vendors. So we'll go ahead and apply normal food rations for everyone to accept it. Yes, that's the end of the food distribution. And every time I look through this window, something has changed. Something has progressed. It won't happen if we don't do a story mission. Let's fix our psyche now. Let's drink some alcohol. Our psyche is completely depleted, which means our health is just going to steadily just go down until we die. Alcohol will fix all the problems, as it has just done. There we go. Alcohol has fixed it. And now what we do is we can catch up with, if we'd done story, we would have had extra dialogue and things from our companions. We might have a new companion, which means new training trees and the skills tree to deal with. We can collect all our stuff, because this is all something satisfying about coming back and picking up all the goodies. There's something very satisfying about it. Mushrooms are legit the best thing in the world. We all need mushrooms. And we can do some base building if we want to. We could build some force fields, or we can make their comfort life a bit better, and we can keep expanding on it. So we actually wanted a floodlight. As you can see here, we can rotate it however we want. Let's put it on this back wall here. Let's place it there. Provide some extra lighting for our people. We could put some RGB in, but I think this is enough. Yeah, that's nice and illuminated now. We can also maybe decorate it out a little bit. We can put some plants out, some half-melted dolls that we found out in the world, some barrels, some big sunflowers. It is the bedroom area after all, so symmetry is important, as always. Like the base building, I've had a ton of fun with, because it's not over the top like a Fallout 4 building thing. It's enough to keep this interesting, and they give you just a nice flat open space to mess around in. As we come to the end here, my criticisms are pretty light, honestly. I don't particularly enjoy the gunplay that much. It's bang on when it works. It's really nice, and some of you probably really like it. For me, it feels a little, especially when there's a lot of foliage involved and you just can't see the enemies. Sometimes you feel like you're just getting shot at and it's a bit chaotic. Getting weapons out is basically a question of your mods. I would have certainly liked some way of auto-sorting, but at the same time, I know a lot of people enjoy putting that there. This goes here. Why would you stack it, you know, with this? You know, things like that. All the revolver ammo should go here. Then we have rifle ammo, but the 20 should go. So it's one of those. If you like it, then that's cool. Some of the training missions with the companions is not ideal. So, for example, Mikhail, if I go to skills, Mikhail taught me 12 more inventory slots. So I basically had to listen to a speech about how to organize my bag. That was the training session. I get it. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, it's not that great a reward, right? It's cool. It's inventory space. It's an extra bag. But the way they did it was like, well, you've got to Tetris the stuff into the bag, and Mikhail's going to teach you how to do that. The stealth ones were really cool. In case you've never done stealth properly, you had a little stealth mission where you had to sneak up on Olivier and actually bring him down. The same with Olga. Your health bar is increased by 3 points. So she tells you basically to stop being a little wuss and to suck it up, and you'll get more health. That's it, because there's no training session involved with giving you more health. So, you know, those kind of things are cool. Other than that, that's pretty much my look at this game. Like, I've had so much fun with this. The story stuff is obviously much more involved, much more supernatural. Lots of very creepy moments. It's not a horror game, but it has those little jump scary moments. It definitely has its fair share of those. As your psyche drains and things get a little weirder, and some of the buildings are a little bit, I think a little bit creepy, and that's actually by design. Like Pripyat as a whole is really horrifying, especially the very bland, very grey, long hallway buildings full of all the stuff that was left behind after the Chernobyl disaster. It's very eerie in and of itself to be around there, and the sound design that goes with it is very good, very good. So, Chernobylite, ladies and gentlemen, on Steam. Thank you very much. So there we have it, Chernobylite. What a game. Absolutely fantastic. This is what I look for in these kind of indie games. You can tell the one thing that's missing in a lot of the AAA stuff, and that's just love, care, attention to detail, taking that time to individually go and scan Pripyat and get those things in there that they freak you out, and then to have the devs literally alongside us through this playthrough going, yeah, that's really there, dude. That's the kind of care and love that you love to see. There are areas that can clearly be done better, right? If they had more money, more time, they could push into this area, they can develop the companions a bit more, but ultimately it works super well, and I fully recommend it. So make sure you check it out on Steam, and also check out our previous game. We looked at New World, big MMO that has now been delayed, unfortunately, for another month, but that's good. They're going to make it better. We can't argue with that, can we? Thank you for checking it out, guys, and stay tuned for the next video in a couple of days. We're going to be looking at the Forgotten City, which currently is rating like one of the best games ever made. So I'm looking forward to letting you know what I think. Bye, everybody.